Hi, I'm Anna.
And I'm Ben.
We are AutoSave. Welcome to our channel.
Today we're watching CyberPunk Edgerunners, Season 1, Episode 4. Last episode, we have started to be integrated more into the crew of Maine, and we're starting to get to know a little bit about each of our members in that crew. And we were also introduced to another antagonist, perhaps, that being Faraday.
Yes.
I wonder if he connects to the whole Katsuo's dad side story plot going on.
It could just be another example of some seedy kind of other elements of the society and the movement of money.
Yeah. I wonder if we're going to see Katsuo's dad really come after David to try to get him so that they can use him to test their, gear.
He's going to have more of a hands-on approach now since David had that breakup with the Arasaka Academy over the phone at the very end, never getting back together after that phone call.
Yeah.
So if he wants David now, he's going to have a more hands-on approach.
And Maine wouldn't let that happen. Maine's too good, and I hope he doesn't die, because every time there's a character like him in a story that I love, they always die, and I don't want it to happen. Please keep him alive.
Please keep the father figure alive.
I want to learn more about Becca, and a lot more about Lucy. She's one of my favorite characters in this little world that we've gotten so far. But yeah, without further ado, I'm ready to get into it. You?
Yeah.
Sweet. Whoa. He's using Sandy, right? Did we miss an episode?
At first I was like, was that drink really spiked? And
was it really bubbly?
Yeah.
I hope that's not how it ends. Us getting executed by a building.
Should I dig deeper on Tanaka?
Nah, sniffing around soccer biz is a fixer's job. What that ass munch say? I needed to check the boxes off my list.
Ass munch?
Sure, but curiosity's killing me.
Meantime, you and me, let's go to town.
David.
Bad time, kid. Sounds bad. Said I'd call if any giggy popped up.
Nothing? Still nada? You can't be my crutch. Said yourself, right?
Fine.
I mean, that's the convenience of not having to talk.
Who's looking now?
Maine, he sent me.
You Davis then? Huh? Davis?
It's David, not Davis. David!
What are you screaming for, rude motherfucker?
Two-man patrol flatline just like that. Saw the scrolls.
Not suspicious.
A single launcher hit turned them both into canned easy beef.
Easy beef.
Oh, David, my man, what's going on? Everything good?
Becca.
Yeah.
What's up, June?
Is Pilar here?
Yo, bro, it's for you! Who sent you something?
Huh.
Wowza, the boys would kill for a pair of cyber hands like these.
You need me to excuse you, or...
Yeah, fuck off. And tip him on his way out.
It's your area! For yourself, cheap ass!
That's a tip?
You're fucking adorable. See you soon, Dimples.
I love Becca.
Hey, you free tonight?
I love Lucy.
As long as she didn't leave with Pilar.
You showed up.
Told me to come.
I love the tracksuit.
Yeah.
Bullied me, said I had to.
You stray. You ain't never taken one in. A stray? Show some responsibility.
Yours.
That dog. Tucker him out.
Yes, munch. But chopsticks, narrow torso, not exactly built like a punk.
I ain't weak if that's what you're getting at.
Keep up then.
Ever use one?
Nope.
Gloria never let you carry? What do you say? Teach you some tricks if you want.
Yes.
San Devistan. I'll stick with that.
Oh. Cool.
Are you a real net runner?
Clearly. And runner's a runner. Good stamina.
Huh.
Take you far.
That's awesome. So is Becca actually underage, or does she just look really young?
I think she just looks young.
Fly your crib. Every single day you check. Wallet, cock sock, and your damn eye. This piece will be your backup plan.
You know, it's kind of like multitasking, right? Like, you don't have to shower afterwards. Yeah. Look at him. He's so... I was gonna say proud.
This is like the father-son montage I needed.
How things going with Lucy? Treating her right?
It's so interesting that they're just reusing the same shots to tell a story.
Applying math where it ain't applicable. It's aptitude and hard work. So get that straight. Long-limbed techies.
Y'all haven't done nothing?
What are we talking about exactly?
David, my clueless chum. You need to grow a pair.
Had enough that night, so I fried him slightly. Fucked off real quick after that. You serious about edge running?
Yes.
So cool.
Hang into her like that.
We all got eyes.
Or, at least she ain't into me like that.
Yeah.
It needs to go both ways.
Oh my god.
I see why Maine is into her.
Dorio. Oh my god.
Said she wants to go to the moon.
The damn moon?
Yeah, I guess it's her dream or whatever.
That's Becca's specialty, yeah?
So you learn how to shoot from Becca, and then you do VR with her
Yeah.
brother.
It's a cool way to convey that time's passing, you know? Whoa. Becca
Of
was
course it would be
kidnapped?
Becca.
Nice! You fuck with one of us, you fuck with all of us! Yeah! That's such a cool moveset. Nice. Oh!
Never mentioned.
Becca's like...
Thinking she lied.
Who knows? Just ask her. You two went on a date to the moon? Shit, dog. It don't get much more romantic than that in Night City.
God, I need some Broseph brewing in my life.
He's wingmaning right now. Maine, you're the best.
Bare minimum. If you're serious about this, you're gonna have to push hard to keep up.
Lungs?
Better stamina, right? Oh, nice!
Oh my gosh.
That shot again.
Maybe a year. Kiwi brought her in.
Huh.
Said she found a natural.
Oh, cool. God, they look like a family, and I don't want something bad to happen.
The siblings both walk the same too, with their arms up.
Damn it. What's your problem, Choom? Why you gotta go pissing in the street, huh? You hard of hearing, Choomba? I'm talking to you. Listen up. This
I'm scared.
water is our turf, asshole. Are we clear on that? Now be a good asshole. Pinch it off and cage that pecker so we can... Gives new meaning to the phrase, hard as iron. Desire. Desire.
Move. Oh no. Move out of the way. Not the father figure taking the bullet for you.
No. We're good, we're good.
Okay.
Oh my god. Who is this dude?
You get him, Becca!
Jesus. Oh no, it's like a stall. Damn! Nice, Lucy. Just
He's
lit him on fire.
Save her. Stop. Please.
You okay?
I'm fine.
You're bleeding.
Holy shit, man. Even after he got shot in the head, he was fine. Fucking...
Girl needs a ripper doc. You should take her to our buddy. Stick with Lucy and Dorio. Huh? We'll tell the badges exactly what went down. Minimal questions. They'll file it as a cyber psycho incident and done. It's high time you stop thinking like a rookie.
I'm going alone.
Make sure you get her home when she's clean, all right? Maine said you could take his wheels.
I'm worried for Maine.
Hey, Lucy.
He was waiting in the same place that she was waiting for him.
Cool effect.
Night.
Can we talk?
Aw, cloudy tonight.
Remember that moon BD we did?
Had something I wanted to talk to you about too.
Yeah?
It was actually the first time I told anyone.
Well, that's good. I like that. You know, the idea that you weren't lying. Wish you'd said something earlier and spilled it right away.
I couldn't. You were so mad at me.
I was not.
Or two.
Well, yeah, guess I kinda was.
See what I mean?
Okay, so maybe I was angry.
It's a great song.
But it ain't like I'm holding a grudge. Wouldn't have jumped that raging psycho if I was.
Liar. You're the guy who jumps into the fire to rescue someone, even when you know you're gonna get burned. Just that type.
Maine thinks I got what it takes. Why is it you don't see?
It's not that. I know you'll make a good Edgerunner. Don't make a name for yourself as a cyberpunk by how you live. Make a name by how you die.
Oh, it's a good line.
Not the life or the end you deserve.
We're exactly the same.
You and I are worlds apart.
In what way? Gonna take you there myself. Fly you to the moon.
I got chills.
I don't want you to die on me.
Oh.
I won't.
Okay, that was CyberPunk Edgerunners, Season 1, Episode 4. So, I said something that I feel like was a little stupid during the reaction, and that was like, so is Pilar dead? But like, I don't know, we're in a world...
We're literally taking lungs out of bodies while
Yeah.
David's still alive and then like awake and putting another cyber lung in.
Yeah, obviously, like, my first thought is, yeah, he's fucking dead, and I just don't want that to happen.
I think the other thing is we weren't getting emotional reactions from anyone other than Becca, but we also could have taken Becca's reaction as, like, just being angry,
Yeah.
possibly. So I think that there were, like, a few things happening that could have
holy
made you
shit.
think that way.
I liked his big gold hands, too. They were so cool.
I like that they're siblings, Becca and Pilar. Like, we got these mannerisms. They were siblings. Oh my gosh. We got these mannerisms that, like, showed that. And I wonder if I watched back to, like, last episode, if I would see them doing things similarly. Because they both were, like, walking with their arms above their heads.
Yeah.
And so I wonder if I would have... going back and rewatching, if I would notice like mannerisms that were similar.
I bet you would. They put a lot of attention to detail in their like small movements in this anime so far, at least. Man, I don't think I've ever watched something that they've leaned into the reuse of animation so much, and it's really interesting.
I enjoyed it.
No, I really enjoyed it too, but it's just so interesting. It's just not what I'm used to,
like,
you know?
if you said that just in plain talk to someone, like, oh yeah, it was an episode where they were reusing certain things and they kept going back to the same scene or whatever, people would probably, just from hearing that in plain language, would be like, oh, that doesn't sound like it would be entertaining. But it's a choice.
Yeah. And
it's an artistic choice that was made here to convey something.
Creativity lives best or excels best when it's put in a box, right? So even if it wasn't necessarily an artistic choice and more like, okay, you have this amount of budget, you can't use as much animation, maybe they took that in stride and leaned into it, because that's what it feels like. It feels like there's so many anime or moments in animation that they reuse animation and transformations or whatever to take as long as possible on screen time, or oh, yep, let's just reuse the previous shot. We already animated it. No, it's extremely creative how they do it. They reuse shots from like 2 episodes ago, even like a couple times. And it's really, in my opinion, I love it because of, I could be wrong here, I think the editor's name is Yoshitaka. The editing in this show is like top notch. I'm in love with it. And I love the transitions and like the little like cross dissolve pixelated effect. But it's the editing that brings that, oh, you reused animation, to like, oh shit, that's impressive that you were able to tell such a good story in an episode with that as like an enhancement to it.
I find that if you give yourself rules or put yourself in somewhat of a box when you're creating art, that I oftentimes find that to be the best art that I create, is when I give myself kind of like guidelines and rules, like, oh, you only have this amount of budget, or you need to fit it into 20 minutes and you need to tell all of this information and also convey a certain emotion. The reusing and the going back to and from scenes in this episode, it was like a montage of David integrating into the crew and starting to form relationships with each of the characters. And I feel like when we got that conversation of Maine on the phone with Lucy, and we had that talk of like, oh, he's bothering me, but not really. Like, he's like, take the dog for a walk kind of thing.
Yeah. Tire him out.
Tire him out. But we're also seeing that everyone is building their own relationships with him and they like having him around.
Yeah. Well, it was perfect for the ending of last episode when it felt like David had just burnt a bridge in the way of the school and wanted to take a step into this world, but then he saw Lucy leaving thinking he left with Pilar, and you're just like, oh man, I really hope David can find like a family or a place to fit in.
And we get him standing by himself at the end of that episode. He's standing by himself looking at this potential, I would say, family, this crew, and they're all kind of doing their own thing. Then Lucy's disappeared, which obviously might make him feel even lonelier, but he still has the confidence to cut off ties with Arasaka Academy, even despite, being alone right there in that second.
You know what a worse paced anime would have done?
What?
They would have taken this, 22-minute episode, not reuse any animation, try not to give the pacing of development between that relationship that David is having with this group, and just kind of do it as like a quick time skip, like so they can try to skip over the fact that there was time that David had with each of these members to establish himself as part of the crew a bit. And I am so glad they didn't go that route, because I actually felt like development in this family.
I feel like I saw from the editing choices, which the editing has been creative from episode 1 of like cutting back and forth between different scenes and different things happening, and to see the passage of time through that as well. Yeah. Like, we got obviously him initially running with Lucy, but then I think that we can possibly guess maybe that he did it again after he got the new lungs, and then it's like this it shows this passage of him continuously having these relationships and these little hangouts with each of these characters, getting to know them, and that they're sending him on all these little tasks to pay him, tip him.
So the thought, like the idea is that David's using his eddies, or at least some of them, to enhance himself in these ways, like to like increase his stamina, right? But I feel like it's not just that too. You have like a part of it being because it's involved with Lucy. You know what I mean? Like, he gets to go on these runs and stuff with her. So being able to keep up has, like, an added benefit.
Yeah.
Than just, an enhancement.
He's much more willing to go the enhancement route than to hold a weapon.
Is it an enhancement or, like, a replacement? Because, like, I was trying to look at, like, the lungs being replaced, and I couldn't tell if it was, like cybernetic at all.
I'm sure it's enhanced in some way.
Yeah.
I mean, he had to buy it, so it's at least better than what he had.
But what if it's just, like, an Olympic athlete's, like, set of lungs?
An Olympic athlete died, and they took out... I mean, didn't we get a shot of those... they were fighting these people.
Sin
a
lungs,
rare...
so they are synthetic.
Increases stamina by 10%.
Rare, military surplus 50% off, and free shipping? Fuck. That's sick. It's number 4.
Free shipping.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a steal right there. Like, I'm sure shipping would have been like $7. That would have sucked.
I like Ripper Doc a lot. He's just completely motivated by money.
I know, and I like that because he doesn't necessarily have... I feel like normally I would have the expectation that the Ripper Doc type character, that like position he's in the story, or at least was introduced in episode 1, would be more of that kind of, oh yeah, I'm motivated by money, but I also really care about you. Yeah. That kind of like older friend, maybe more of that father role, but Maine is taking that father role. Yeah. So Ripper Doc is just... He's just doing what he needs to do for money. He doesn't actually have that emotional connection, maybe. The idea of Maine, like, talking on the phone with David while he's making out with Dorio, I was like, yo, what the hell? Like, how... Because, like, it lets you in on a little bit of, like, a little bit of a fact so that your imagination can just run wild with, like... What other times is Maine calling David up and talking to him, you know? I mean, Maine is like being a mentor in all areas. He's making sure that David is going to be a good edge runner. He's making sure that David protects himself with like a gun. He's making sure that, you know, David gets the ladies. So he's answering his phone calls. He doesn't like block him. He doesn't hang up. You know, he still talked to David even though he was kissing Dorio. He really cares. You know? Do you think that there's any bit of that's like a Maine feeling like he wants to be responsible a little bit for David, since he knew Gloria, like David's mom, and what happened to her? I could see Maine being part of his characteristic or personality, that he feels that he's the type that wants to, like, I had a good relationship with your mom. She was cool. So, like, I owe it to her to be cool to you. Yeah. As long as, like, obviously he's not going to carry him. And David said, like you said, you're not going to be my crutch. Like, I'm going to do this on my own. But it fits his characteristic to kind of put his hand out a little bit in support of people that he already had connections with, especially if they've passed on. Yeah. It seemed like we got the information that Kiwi was the one to bring in Lucy about a year ago. Which fits because what they do in the group is similar. Oh, yeah. And it also fits with, like, the dynamic between Lucy and the rest of the crew, how it's, like, a little bit of, like, it's, like, a little further apart, you know? Which is, like, great now that we're finding out that she just recently joined, like, a year ago, too. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of like that makes more sense of why she would have possibly latched on to David early on. What do you think is up with her? What happened to injure her there? Was it an overuse of her ability or technology? Was it like a wound from the explosion? Was it something internal that we don't know? Like, my cynical, pessimistic mind was like, oh my God, is something wrong with her that we don't know? You know? I mean, she uses very pessimistic language, especially at the end there. Yeah. I mean, not only about the survival of David and not wanting him to die, but also that they're, like, in different worlds. Yeah. And why does she think of herself as in such a different world? I think she gets blasted in the back of the head during the fight, and I think that might explain the blood. And then she, in the ending conversation with David on the roof, she then reaches for that same spot.
Yeah.
So...
But that is also mixed in with her wanting to go in with Ripper Doc alone. That's what made me worried.
Right.
Like, okay, would Ripper Doc say something about her internals that she doesn't want everybody else knowing?
Right, like, it's not like she's unwilling to be in that bathtub scene in front of everyone.
Yeah.
It's not like it's a modesty reason that she doesn't want David to come in to Ripper Doc with her.
So that was like the origin of my, I guess, fear.
So what is this different world? You know, what is it about her that she doesn't want David, maybe specifically David, to know?
Or she doesn't want David to die either, you know? One thing that I just pulled up the scene of when that, you know, interaction and action happened. They had a lot of great close-ups on David this episode. Like, the one that we got right opening the episode was great. But then him, like, before he decides to shoot or not. I love, like, the sketchiness of all the lines on his face. I always love that in anime. It was really good. And then the blood splatter on him. I cannot believe that it didn't kill him, though. That's the one thing. I don't know... I don't live in this world, so I don't know what it takes to actually put someone down.
He literally got a bullet, like, you see a bullet wound in the decapitated head as it falls to the ground. But to be honest, I think they just did this as fan service so that we would get to see Maine punch a dude's head off.
Hell yeah!
So they were like, okay, let's have the bullet not kill him so that the fans can see Maine do this. Decapitate someone with a punch.
We also got a couple terms... like ass munch, that has happened a bunch.
That was good. I mean, I really liked the dialogue and language in this episode too, because what I got from it was this very casual, friendly tone between everyone's phone calls and conversations, that they were all like calling each other names and, you know, shortening words, just very relaxed and just very friendly to each other, and I enjoyed that dynamic.
Easy beef was another term. Is that like spam? I don't know. Is it like fake, like synthetic meat?
Oh, it's definitely in like a can or something.
Yeah, I wanted to see it. I was upset. But we got the return of Brothers Brewing, right? That's what it's called?
Yep.
I loved that. And what? Becca just got kidnapped and put in a fridge. Like, what did you get into, Becca, that led you
Isn't that funny? Because there was there was visual comedic energy of how small she is, like twice in this episode. Her getting kidnapped and put in a tiny box, and or they caught her doing something and put her in the tiny box, and then her not being allowed in the bar because I'm assuming because of how small she is.
Well, that's what I want to know. Like, we had Lucy and David touch on the age factor in this episode, and how does that work? Like, is Becca as small as she is just because that's how it is? That's like, she's just short? Was she younger when she started getting like enhancements so that stunted growth? Is she actually just younger? Like,
right, and we have that kind of idea that she could have been brought into the group a lot younger than Lucy and David because of her brother.
Yeah, that's true.
So don't really have... I was actually thinking in this episode when Maine was asking David, like, do you have feelings for Lucy? And he was like, I think the problem would be basically if she felt the same about me.
Yeah.
And David, like, saved Becca, like, 3 times in this episode. And so then I started thinking, like, oh, what if Becca, like, has a crush on David?
I feel like they, like, it comes off as, like, a brother-sister kind of relationship.
That's probably what it's going to turn into after Pilar.
Yeah. I could see that.
And they put, like, Becca to sleep at the end.
Yeah.
Well, she obviously woke up by
God,
the end.
I actually really like the ability set of Kiwi when we and the design, but when they were doing the mission that David kind of like froze at, and Kiwi like was just like on the computer, and then later when she shut down Becca, I was like, God, what skill set does that require? Can you only shut down people at like a certain clearance, and if people have better gear than you, can you not shut them down?
Right,
you know,
like or is it do you have to have permission for it, or do you hack people? It seemed like Lucy was trying to do something with this cyber psycho at the end, but that it does make me wonder, do you have to hack necessarily, or because they're in a crew, Kiwi has permission over that sort of thing?
This show is making me want to play Cyberpunk 2077 again so bad, and I won't until we catch up and finish it, or season 2 or 3. I don't know what's gonna happen, but it makes me want to play so bad because it feels like all I'm getting is, in Pokemon when you go into the cave and you can only see the circle around you and you can't see like the black areas and you have to explore. That's what it feels like watching the show. Like, I want to know every detail of how everything works in this world, and I'm so interested.
Because we weren't necessarily... I think that you just gave a perfect description of how we've been dropped into this world.
Yeah.
That we're not able to see the whole full picture truly, and we're not being given a bunch of different areas to kind of compare and kind of build our own world view.
Yeah.
That we're dropped down as David, and we can only see the perimeter around him, whatever he's seeing. Which I think is an awesome way to have a show.
Definitely.
And to build a world that we're kind of learning it and discovering it at a similar time to David.
I think this show in the first 4 episodes has set itself apart from other shows that we are currently watching or have. It feels in a really strange way a little more poetic with their approach to pacing and storytelling. And that being said, it makes me feel like, and its mature rating makes me feel like it's not guaranteed that we're gonna get sunshine and rainbows when the story ends,
I think the editing specifically is the thing for me, that it's like, this is not typical. I don't think a lot of people would make this choice, and I think that's because maybe they'd be too scared to be too creative with the editing.
It's risky, but it pays off tenfold. But I
mean, this whole show is supposed to be about risk. I mean, you're literally modifying your body, and if you do too much modification, you could go cyber psycho.
You know what? That's a good point, though.
There's glitching out.
The world and the story that they're telling is completely represented by the editing style. It's really interesting. I love the color choice too, like we've talked about in the past few episodes. My favorite scene, I think, this episode, I know the whole action was great, but just the ending with Lucy and David, the song that was playing, I don't know if we've heard before, but I loved it, whatever it was. And also Lucy had a great line of like, you don't make a name for yourself in this world by how you live. You do it by how you die. And that, it's like, no wonder she doesn't want David to die, and like how her actions and talking have been to him, if she believes that's the case. Yeah. I believe Lucy at this point, with everything she said and shown David about the moon and stuff.
Especially when we learned that Maine had no idea that this was a dream of hers.
Yeah.
And I think what that also showed me is that it almost reiterated the point that she recently joined them, and that he knew nothing of her before she joined.
Yeah.
And also that idea that she's still somewhat of an outlier. She's still kind of on the outside. Like, they all ran this way, and she was all the way back behind them, behind the crate that the Cyber Psycho was on.
Yeah.
So there was still this, like, distance between them.
You know how, like, you hear in, like, stories or in real life or friends, some people get into these, like, relationships with people that aren't necessarily, like, great for either of them or bad for either of them, but it's like a speed run roller coaster of like emotions. I don't know, it feel like the whole Lucy David thing makes me feel like it's like it's like a speed run. Like it feels like David doesn't care if he lives or dies too long, but as long as the life that he has lived by the time his time's up was like good and fun, and he appreciated every second of it. That's what matters,
Yeah, like Lucy says that he's the type of person to run into a fire to save someone.
Yeah.
And I think that perfectly embodies him. I mean, remember, it as she was saying that, all I could remember was the fact that, like, if he hadn't been strapped into that car and unable to get out to get to his mom.
Oh yeah.
Like, if he had been able to get out to her, he would have gotten out. He would have run to her. And I think that Lucy kind of really hits on why she is worried about him, or maybe even worried to get too close to him, is because of that personality trait, that fact that he isn't going to self-preserve.
It's a risky thing to be around, you know, because then you can develop love and feelings, and that can easily be lost through that type of person.
Mm-hmm. We also, I think that there's a possible comparison between the two of them. We talked about how it seems like Lucy might be unwilling to go for kill shots in terms of like using her wire to cut off people's heads.
I don't believe that anymore.
You don't believe that anymore?
No.
Well, I thought that it could possibly go with the fact that David has struggles with using the gun during this episode. That I thought that it lent with them both being new to this world.
Yeah.
And new to like violence possibly and enacting it themselves.
Like I don't think that, like, we've seen a ton of Lucy, like, ripping people's heads off, but I don't think she's afraid to, like, fuck some people up.
We know that she's like, ew, when it happens.
Yeah.
Like, ugh.
Yeah. I love her, like, moveset, though. The strings are so freaking cool,
it's so
dude.
cool. It's almost scarier to me than Maine's fist. Is like these tiny, like, threads that can just slice you. There's something about it that I find even more terrifying.
It's more terrifying to me than even Becca's just, like, arsenal of weaponry. I wonder, like, I don't even know where she's getting the guns at this point. Yeah. Like, where's she keeping them?
Where does she keep them?
But I don't know. Lucy's whole moveset, I don't know. It's what I would pick if I could pick, like, if this was a video game and I had to pick, like, which role I would be out of all the characters, I would pick Lucy.
I might pick Kiwi. No, I would pick Becca.
You
what
would
am
definitely
I talking
pick
about?
Becca.
I would pick Becca.
Like, hands down, you pick Becca.
I am the person that picks the cute girl with the giant hammer or scythe.
Yeah.
Like, that's what I'm... So, Becca.
That's Becca energy. Yeah. You'd get
It's normally like
in
a
the
girl,
fridge.
pink hair and pigtails,
Yeah.
giant, like, hammer or scythe, giant guns. Becca.
All right. That's all I have, you.
Yeah.
Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and we hope to see you next time.